Who's up for the best games of 2016? I fucking am. Let's go. First up is Odin Sphere Leaf Thrasir. This is a remake of an old PS2 game and it's an absolute blast. The gameplay is smooth and fluid and it's easy even for clumsy idiots like me to string together combos and wreck people. The art is beautiful and this stands out as one of the best 2D beat-em-ups of all time. Another instant classic from Vanillaware. Hitman. I'd thought that Hitman was dead. After Absolution, I thought if we ever got another Hitman, it would be just as fucking bad. But actually, they did a complete 180 and made a worthy sequel to Blood Money. The maps are absolutely huge and intricate. There are masses of ways to kill each target. There's tons of weapons and there's a great sense of humour too. Everything you could want in a Hitman game. There's fewer levels than in previous games, but they're bigger and have multiple targets, and the challenges and contract modes give each one a ton of replayability, so I think it's a fair trade-off. Overall, a great Hitman game, and I'm glad it's back. XCOM 2. The first XCOM was a good modernization of the old XCOM games. Sacrifices were made to cater to a new audience, but overall I think it was a good compromise and a great game. XCOM 2 is a good follow-up to XCOM. It looks quite a bit nicer. It now has procedural maps, which make extended play more enjoyable. The customization and personalization options are a lot better, which makes everything a bit more personal when a favourite soldier dies or whatever. Environmental destruction has improved a lot, which improves things, just makes it more fun. And the enemies have all been redesigned, and they look a lot better now in my opinion, and there are several new enemy types, which make things more interesting. Just overall a good follow-up. They've also added a lot of timed missions, which causes you to take a lot more risks than you really should have to, which means your soldiers die unnecessarily a lot more, which would have been more controversial of a decision if one of the first mods for the game hadn't been just to get rid of them entirely, I think. But yeah, as an updated next-gen version of XCOM, it does a great job. Dark Souls 3. This is my favourite Souls game, besides the obviously upgraded graphics, which look absolutely stunning. The game controls a lot smoother than the previous ones, which makes it a lot more satisfying to play. It's a dark and challenging labyrinth for you to explore, full of traps and monsters and other kinds of danger. One of the most atmospheric games that came out this year. It really impressed me with its imaginative locations and enemy designs, as well as the challenging but exciting boss fights. Uncharted 4. Another great Uncharted. A country-hopping adventure, chasing down lost pirate treasure, fighting mercenaries and exploring ancient ruins. The game is absolutely beautiful and plays great, a worthwhile addition to one of the most beloved series of games there is. Doom. Doom is an absolutely brilliant shooter. After years of boring, military-themed FPSs, things have finally started looking up in the last few years, and Doom is the icing on the cake. The gameplay is just fantastic. Enemies hit hard, even on lower difficulties, so you're constantly looking for health. And doing melee kills on weakened enemies gives you the most health. So the fights are this brutal cat and mouse where you're running away from enemies while at the same time running towards them to get melee kills. It's just incredible. Like, you're on a fucking knife edge the whole fucking time. It's brilliant. The pacing of the game is perfect. You start off fighting small numbers of weak enemies and it just ramps up. The difficulty ramps up, the intensity ramps up masterfully. After each big fight, you think it can't get any more hectic, except it always fucking does, and it is absolutely brilliant. The graphics are great and the animations especially are really good. There's like dozens of brutal executions, blood flying everywhere. It's all just so gory and intense all the fucking time. And the music is really good too. It's not just a good soundtrack, but it's the way it's integrated into the game when there's no enemies around, there's no music. But as the threat increases, so does the music. It's like dynamically mixed or whatever, depending on what you're fighting. And it gets more and more intense as the gunfights get more and more intense. And it's just insanely good the way it works. Probably the best use of music since Metal Gear Rising for me. Just a lot of fun overall. Really, really good game. Really good. Game of the Year, Witcher 3 Blood and Wine. Now this is probably a controversial choice because Blood and Wine is a DLC and not a full standalone game, but my reasoning is this: if your game is worse than a DLC, you don't deserve Game of the Year, even if you're the best standalone game. And since Blood and Wine blew every other game out of the water, we're in a situation where we either have a controversial Game of the Year or no Game of the Year at all, and I'd rather have one. That's the way I look at it. Blood and Wine is a new Witcher story set in the fantastical setting of Toussaint, a new open world area in the Witcher world. The main storyline is as good as you'd expect from a Witcher game, and the zone also has dozens of side quests to check out, dungeons to explore and shit like that. This may be a DLC, but it has more worthwhile shit to do than a lot of full games. The combat is also excellent on Death March difficulty. Every enemy in the game can kill you easily if you let them hit you. So each fight feels important, each fight feels like life and death, even if it's just like a couple of bandits on the road. It still feels like a real fight, do you know what I mean? But yeah, Blood and Wine is just more Witcher 3, and since Witcher 3 is the greatest of all time in the gaming world, nothing else can touch it. So that was my little 2016 roundup. Hope you enjoyed it, and remember, if you disagree with anything I've said in this video, you are wrong. I am the sole arbiter of taste, and my opinions count as facts. So there's plenty more videos coming soon if you want to subscribe, and a ton already on the channel if you don't want to wait, so feel free to check that out. And I will see you next year for another roundup, and hopefully I'll see you before then with my new videos coming soon. So see ya.